Welcome everyone to Moore's Verse, where we talk about all things death metal. Today we're going to dive deep into the lyrics of Hymns In Dissonance by Whitechapel. So I'm extremely excited to talk to you today about the lyrics of this album. If you're new here, just want to let you know that this is not a review channel. What we like to do here is dive into the lyrics of some of our favorite albums and hopefully have some interesting things to talk about and cultivate a community where we could share our thoughts and ideas on those lyrics and our interpretations. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. So if you don't know, Whitechapel's a band from Knoxville, Tennessee. Hymns In Dissonance is their 9th studio album. This album goes all the way back to their heavier roots from the Somatic Defilement and This Is Exile. And this album actually is supposed to serve as a sequel to This Is Exile. And according to their press release, Alex Wade, one of the guitar players, he says, the album follows the story of a cultist who is gathering worthy people to join his cult. And there are moments in the storyline where the cult followers are singing an evil hymn to open a portal for the head cultist to enter. Later on in that press release, Phil Bozeman, the vocalist, he says that Hymns of Dissonance is a mockery of the true nature of what hymns are. Hymns are melodious and harmonious. Dissonance is the opposite of melody and harmony. Dissonance represents evil. The tracks on the record are hymns, which represent the 7 deadly sins, beginning from track 3 to track 10. Tracks 1 and 2 are just the introduction. So Bozeman goes into the storyline. It's about the head cultist building his cult of followers, only the most heinous and vile people on the planet, showing their devotion to their Lord, committing horrible acts, and the leader showcasing his power and his purpose to commit the 7 deadly cardinal sins to resurrect their Lord and to replace divinity with evil. So then he kind of goes track by track and tells you what each track is about when it comes to the story. So Prisoner 666 is the first track of the album, and it's about the cultist announcing his purpose and ordains his followers to perform obscene rituals to open a portal for him to walk through. That's Hymns of Dissonance. He leaves them to continue their rituals and indulge in violence. And that's Diabolic Slumber, A Visceral Wretch, and Hate Cult Ritual. As he ventures forth and disdains light and holiness, the abysmal gospel, he then goes to his brother's grave to mock him for his lack of evil, that's Bedlam, and endeavors to fulfill his dark purpose, Mammoth God, before ending up dissipating in a void. Nothing is coming for any of us, the last track of the album. So with that, let's get into the lyrics. We're going to start off with track 2, Hymns In Dissonance. So when I first heard this song and these lyrics, I immediately got the references from the choruses, and it made me so happy. I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I don't know the average age of the people that watch my videos. I'm in my mid-30s right now, and I'm old enough to remember the Somatic Defilement and This Is Exile. Back in those days, I was in a deathcore band of my own, living in Tucson, Arizona at the time. And the Somatic Defilement was a huge inspiration on us. And then when This Is Exile came out, it was a really big deal. We had it on repeat front to back for a long time. Anyways, the first chorus in the song references titles from This Is Exile. So it references Father of Lies, of Legions, Exalt, Possession, and This Is Exile. Later on, in the other chorus, it's a little bit different. So it starts off, we are the last living sons of the Father of Lies. And then we cast out the light, eternally refuged in night. Brother Damon, in your profane name we thrive. To all that are dead, stay dead. We are the means to a messiaholical end. So that references the rest of the tracks. You got Father of Lies at the beginning there. Eternal Refuge, Damon the Procreated, To All That Are Dead, and Messiahbolical. So these lyrics, Phil Bozeman does a genius job here, putting together these sets of lines that involve the existing track list from This Is Exile, but he weaves it into the story in a way that forwards the narrative. And that's really impressive to me. The co-leader is kind of giving a sermon, speaking about what he and the other members have done in an attempt to garner more influence, and it seems to get more followers. With that, we're going to get into our next set of lyrics. They come from track 5, Hate Cult Ritual. So clearly there's a lot of biblical imagery here, as well as throughout the entire album. When I hear the moonlight stabs through the cross, what I like to imagine is it's speaking to the holes that are made in the cross when the nails are driven through them. So I like to imagine even someone already being strung up on the cross, the holes going through their flesh and the cross itself, and the moonlight kind of shining through. And I think that's pretty fucking metal. And as for the Helios line, it seems that Phil is blending classical mythology and Christian symbolism here. Helios is the Greek sun god, is often depicted as a powerful, radiant figure. Here he's portrayed in a vulnerable state with a spear through his neck, which could symbolize the destruction or subjugation of divine power. So Helios here could represent the fallen or sacrificed divine being, likely used to parallel the suffering of Jesus, where the sun god's fall from grace mirrors the crucifixion or suffering found in Christian imagery. The weird language being used in this song and throughout the rest of the album, they're just the actual words of the lyrics written in order, but the words themselves are backwards. So if you translate it, this passage translates to, "Fear the spear of Lucifer, it shall pierce, it shall crumble the walls of paradise." The spear of Lucifer here is an instrument of defiance and destruction, signifying the breakdown of heavenly or divine systems with the crumbling of what was once perfect and untouchable. I think it also kind of is a direct line to the spear of Longinus. Longinus being the name of the person that pierced the side of Christ with his spear. This song was meant to be one of the hymns that is being sung to spin the cult up into a blind rage and get them amped up for the rest of the rituals. Next, we're going to get into track 8, Bedlam. So in this song, the cult leader is visiting his brother in a tomb. To me, these lyrics cast the cult leader as someone who is not mourning or dealing with grief. Rather, he's relishing in the fact that death has taken his brother, and now he has the upper hand. The obsession with seeing his brother's dead eyes could represent the twisted form of victory. The brother has been brought down to nothing, reduced to an empty corpse. The leader is now in control, able to stare into the nothingness and assert his superiority. There's a sort of psychological satisfaction the cult leader seems to gain from seeing his brother reduced to a lifeless state. He's no longer a threat, no longer someone to be compared to or overshadowed by. The cult leader's fixation on the brother's death might not be because of love or mourning, but because of a deep, disturbing satisfaction in knowing that his brother can no longer compete, challenge, or have power over him. This is someone who's been waiting for the moment where he can just gloat, both over his brother's death and of his own survival and dominance. In essence, the cult leader seems to revel in the ultimate triumph over his brother, viewing death not as a tragic loss, but as a final moment where he wins. The whole song almost seems like the cultist has taken a victory lap, basically over his brother's life and former power. Finally, we'll get into track 9, Mammoth God. So that first line there, to me, I think symbolizes the cult leader's undying thirst for power, his ambition taking over everything, and his mind overcoming his physical needs for food and water. And the way I read into the next 3 lines, I believe he is talking about how he cannot ascend into further godhood without dethroning the Abrahamic God. Because you have the 3 major Abrahamic religions. You got Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim, taking his head, the Abrahamic God, with him into the portal his cult followers are opening for him. I love the diction here. Phil Bozeman uses the syncopation, where the masterless avarice that stole the pride of Nazareth. That is just really tasty to me. Avarice often refers to greed or insatiable desire. The phrase masterless could imply that the leader's ambition is no longer bound by any mortal or divine authority. The reference to Nazareth, once again, links Christian imagery, specifically to Jesus, whose pride is stolen by the leader's unchecked greed. The leader may be seen to be usurping divine or righteous power, swindling my way through gullible minds to take the bones of Lazarus. Another sick line. Swindling, suggesting, that he's very purposeful. He doesn't care. He knows that they are sheep, right? The lamb. He can easily deceive them, lie to them, and trick them. He's using their faith and ignorance to his advantage. The reference to Lazarus, who was resurrected by Jesus, hints at the cult leader's manipulation of death and life. Perhaps he's using resurrection or the promise of salvation to gain control over others. To revive and fertilize death's grip, the flame of Satan is lit. It brings the song's imagery full circle with references to death and the demonic. To me, the flame of Satan is lit. What he's talking about there represents the final steps to him attaining godhood. So in conclusion, this album is wild to me. I love that Whitechapel were able to just let go and write ignorant, heavy-ass music, just like they were able to back in the day. And moreover, come over with a really amazing concept that serves as a direct sequel to one of their best-received albums of all time. Everyone loves cults. They're always super intriguing. There's a million cult shows out there for a reason. I know I left out some amazing lyrics in this video. I would love to hear your thoughts. Tell me in the comment section below which ones you loved, what you think. Let me know some of your interpretations of them. And thank you all for joining me going through Hymns in Dissonance by Whitechapel. Until next time.